Howdy, howdy. Welcome on in to the pre-show before the free show where we are back at our normal lunchtime. Venue's not the right word there.
Hour.
Yeah.
Time slot.
That's fine.
That's right. Yeah.
We are back at our normal venue, though. That was not necessarily
That is
a
true.
stretch.
That is true. We are back. We're back in our studio. We're back at the mothership. Just having a good old time. That was our first successful road show.
Yeah. I was so
Live
excited.
road show, I should say. Live road show.
Yeah. We have taped. Y'all
We've
have
done
taped
taped
before.
road shows before. But yeah, that is our first successful live road show.
I got redemption.
Thanks again to our friends at the Lone Star Conference for letting us crash their party.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
A lot of potato salad.
What an odd context-free statement. A lot of potato salad.
I don't want to add any more context to that. Just we ate a lot of potato salad.
Yeah, we had a good time. It was a lot of fun out there with our friends at the Lone Star Conference. We had a grand total of 10 guests over the course of our less than 90-minute show.
Yeah.
So there's some serious speed dating going on.
Efficient. It was incredibly efficient.
But everybody was fantastic. Had a great time. We're going to chop up. If you missed the show yesterday, we are going to chop up all those interviews and put them on our YouTube channel. But we just haven't gotten around to it yet because we have a lot of content. I mean, think about what we've done in the last couple of weeks. Big 12 Media Days. Okay.
Six-man
coaching clinic. THSCA. And now
that
Lone Star Conference. And by the way, do you know where Shahan is going on Wednesday, tomorrow? He's going down to the Woodlands for WAC Conference Media Days.
And he did, we didn't get any video at Conference USA because they did theirs virtually, but he's got more stuff coming out there.
Yeah, it's insane.
Content season.
It is insane. It is absolutely insane. And so
we've got bits. I just now gave the SD card to Kayla and was like, "Hey, can you start organizing these, please? Because I've got 75 other interviews to upload right now."
It's a lot. So if you haven't been to our YouTube channel lately, we've got a ton of stuff
poppin'.
there. It is. It's popping off. So you should go make sure you check that out. But we had a great time out there in McKinney.
We really did. And that was your first time at the facility.
First time at McKinney ISD Stadium, which is kind of hard to believe, but I've driven past it. Needless to say, it's hard to miss.
Yes, it's a monstrosity out there.
But it's a beautiful facility. I probably don't have to tell you that. It's why the Division II National Championship is going to be there. Yep. But I want you to think about this, okay? Texas, and specifically North Texas, is really the center of the college football world.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you got the FCS title game in Frisco. You've got you've got Division II title game now going to be for the next 5 years in McKinney. And then where's the Division III title game?
It's usually in Kentucky or Missouri.
It feels
or
like
something.
You are picking a state at random.
No. It's over there somewhere.
I know that they have. Let's see.
I know when UMHB won their last one, it was there.
Right. That sounds right. Okay, so let's go to National Championship games. So the last 2 years, 2018, 2019, it was in Shenandoah. It's at the Woodlands.
Oh, okay.
At Woodforest Bank Stadium. 2021, it'll be in Canton, so they bounce it around.
Okay.
Canton.
That one's still moving.
Then they're going to play in Annapolis, which is kind of cool. Then they're going to play in Salem, Virginia. Cool. And then 2024, back to Texas.
That's what I was thinking.
It'll be back to Texas. It'll be in Humble at Turner Stadium.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, I mean, this is really the center of
and then you go even further and you think about all the things that are hosted at AT&T Stadium of the Cotton Bowl is there, the high school championships, the World Series, the NFR. They're
the NFR, yeah. The Gold Cup.
Yeah, the Gold Cup.
Their Gold Cup games.
Matt Wilson is basically the king of all things sports, is what I'm hearing.
Just hauling them in.
That Arlington CVB is pumping them out, man.
So and by the way, I think you've talked. I can just tell you this on the air because if I tell it to you on the air, then we have to hold my wife to it.
Okay.
Your idea about us coming out to. What is it? It's UAB game?
Yeah, North Texas and UAB.
Because here's the thing.
6:30 kick on a Saturday.
Here's the thing. We can get a babysitter.
Yeah.
The thing is that Pickle confided in me yesterday in confidence that I'll just tell you now.
And now we'll just blow it up on the air.
That you don't have any friends to go to games with.
No, I don't, because all of my friends that still live in the area, because you got to remember, TV people disperse.
Correct.
So all my
They
friends
scatter.
that live in the area, they all work for North Texas Athletics. So I'm always asking people to go to games with me because I'll see them and I'll wave, but they're all in their mean green polos and working concessions or working facilities or something like that.
I think you've talked Tepwife into it. I think she's
Let's
down.
go.
I think she's down for it.
All right.
Because it's been a minute since we have been to Apogee.
Yes.
We went to a game. She and I did. We went to a game at Halloween, and I mentioned to her, I was like, by the way, I don't know if you know this, but I think Pickle was the MC of that game. And she's like, what?
Yep.
I was like, yeah. I mean, she's been doing it for like 100 years. So,
Yeah.
You know, something like that.
old
This
now.
time it'll be probably Malpal, right?
Yeah, Malpal will be emceeing,
Malpal.
and then the younger Pickle, I believe, will be helping out with the marketing interns.
Wow.
So it'll be a whole family affair
What a
out there at
time.
Apogee. But yes, I'm excited. I hope that y'all are able to
I
come.
think we're going to try to make that happen.
Ka.
Hit the theme expo. Let's go!
Ain't how to sing blue way. Got a shot glass in your hand.
From the Dave Campbell
Yeah,
Texas
yeah.
Football Mothership here in beautiful Louisville, Texas. It's Texas Football Today, a show coming to you from the comforts of home. My name is Greg Tepper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, a magazine, TexasFootball.com, a corresponding website. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Whether you're watching us live at TexasFootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, or listen to us on the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part to support your local, mediocre internet show. I am sitting over there at the helm today, making us sound good, representing her mean green.
Mhm.
She's the Duchess of the Dorks. She's Ashley Pickle.
I was feeling it today with a mean green
Can
shirt.
I get a go mean green?
Go mean green.
Okay.
Ka.
Today is Tuesday, July 27th, 2021, 121 days until Thanksgiving. Happy birthday to Jordan Spieth.
Hey, look at that.
He's a Texan, right?
He sure is.
From the DFW area somewhere?
Yeah, from the DFW area, and then obviously golfed at UT. So
That's right.
Texan through
He's
and
a
through.
Texan through and through.
Yeah.
That's right. That is episode 1209, and I need to issue a correction. I think yesterday
You said it wrong.
I think yesterday in the hubbub of getting Jeff Gersh, the head coach at Angelo State, seated, I think I said the wrong episode number.
I
So
thought
mea
about
culpa.
like hardcore yelling at you, but we were in the presence of guests, so
Mea
I
culpa.
held it in.
Mea culpa. And so today we are going to talk a little bit. Normally we do headlines, but there's kind of only one headline. So we'll talk about the one headline.
An
and
overwhelming
what
headline.
it means, what it doesn't mean, and maybe like what's next. Then, back half of the show, we're going to give you a little look at one of our many interviews that we did at the THSEA Coaching School and Convention. Matt Stepp caught up with the head coach at the South Oak Cliff Golden Bears, Coach Jason Todd. So we will hear from Jason Todd coming up here at the back half of the program. Do we have first four through the door?
We sure do. It was Tony Blaylock, Rob Hadaway, Aaron Arbuckle, and Daniel Agnew. Welcome in, fellas.
Welcome in, my friends. There's something I was going to say to you, and now it's just gone. It's into the ether. So we'll never know. We'll never know. Okay, Pickle. Normally on our first show back, so yesterday we were at Lone Star Conference Media Days.
Mm-hmm. Threw off our Monday groove
Threw
a
off our
little
Monday
bit,
groove.
but in a good way.
So now we're going to do headlines on a Tuesday. But really, in that regard, there's kind of only one headline, and that is what is going on in college football with relation to one particular program here in the state of Texas, and that is the University of Texas.
I should have edited the Elmo gif of him in the fire with like the Big 12 logo. I missed an opportunity.
This morning at about 9:30,
yeah,
Central Time, God's time zone, a letter was sent from Jay Hartzell. Hartzell?
I think it's Hartzell.
I'm going to go Hartzell, the president of the University of Texas at Austin, and Joseph Harris Jr., the president of the University of Oklahoma. It was addressed to Commissioner Greg Sankey. He is the commissioner of the Southeastern Conference, better known as the SEC. It reads, Dear Commissioner Sankey, the University of Texas at Austin and the University of Texas of Oklahoma, and then there's some mumbo-jumbo, request invitations for membership in the Southeastern Conference starting on July 1st, 2025. We believe that there will be a mutual benefit to the universities on the one hand and the SEC on the other hand for the universities to become members of the SEC. We look forward to the prospect of discussions regarding this matter. Sincerely, the aforementioned presidents. This comes on the heels of yesterday when those two universities, Texas and Oklahoma, told the Big 12 that they would not be renewing their grant of rights whenever they expire after the 2025 season.
And that was what, in the afternoon?
Correct.
3 o'clock-ish?
Or
was it, or no, was it, I guess it was in the morning.
At some point. It was at some point yesterday.
Time has no meaning. Oh, God.
So now, grant of rights is like a fancy term, and I this can all be very like top level and people talking over people. So let me be clear about what grant of rights is. Grant of rights is basically the agreement by which you join the conference in any meaningful way, which is that you give the Big 12 or whatever conference your television rights to your contests. Okay, so basically, the Big 12 comes together. All those 10 teams agree to give their grant of rights to the Big 12. The Big 12 then goes and sells those rights to ESPN. The ESPN gives the money to the Big 12. The Big 12 disperses those to the 10-member conferences. That's what a grant of rights is.
The conference is the middleman, basically.
Correct. And it's what the kind of the glue that holds everything together there. And so by them saying that when they were to expire, I believe on July 1st or sometime in summer, July 1st.
I believe they would expire June 30th at 11:59 in 2025.
In 2025, they're saying we are not going to be a part of the Big 12 after that date.
Correct.
They have, and then obviously this other part where SEC, they've gone to the SEC and says, hey, by the way, we're going to be a free agent. You up?
That was literally actually what the president's letter said.
It said
not to get confused.
You up?
Hey, boo.
Yes. They want to join, obviously, the SEC. A lot of ramifications, a lot of ripple effects here. One thing I will say is people may be getting caught up on the July 1st, 2025 thing. True that that's when the buzzer goes off. But there are a number of different scenarios in which the Texas and Oklahoma, should they be accepted into the SEC, could join earlier. Basically, you can leave whenever you want. You're not beholden to them in any way of like contractually, except by the fact that you would have to pay to get out.
Yes, and it's a hefty fee.
I believe that if they wanted to leave to go to the to be a member of the SEC in 2022 next year, it would cost each university somewhere along the lines of $80 million. Now, on one hand, that is a lot of money, and on the other hand, that is not a lot of money. But that said, I don't know if necessarily the University of Texas and University of Oklahoma have the stomach to write an $80 million check to leave a conference. Because the other option would be that the Big 12 ceases to exist, which is a real possibility here because with Texas and Oklahoma leaving the Big 12, they're now down to 8 teams. That's not viable.
No.
And so...
Especially when you're talking about brand name awareness at this point.
And so in my mind, there are a few different possibilities to come here. There's what I think is probably the most likely scenario, which is that the remaining 8 teams are going to scatter to and try to find a different home.
Yes.
This is where the fact that there is not a geographic like there's not a real geographic continuity to the conference really kind of hurts them in the ability to hold together, because West Virginia, for example, is probably going to call the ACC and say, hey, can we come in? Or the Big Ten, maybe, or any other number of conferences out on the East Coast.
Correct.
Iowa State, up at the very top of the conference, is probably knocking on the Big Ten's door and saying, hey, you got any room for us?
Which it's funny because geographically, that almost makes more sense
Right.
for them to be in the Big Ten anyway.
Sure. And so that is option one, which would obviously leave, and we'll get to the other 3 Texas schools here in a moment. That would obviously leave them in a bit of a lurch as to where they go.
Right.
We'll get to them. That's option one. Option two would be that the Big 12, the remaining 8 teams, hold together, and then they try to bring in other teams. Right. So a Houston, or an SMU, or a Cincinnati, or a Memphis, or teams like that maybe are looking to get up to that Power 5 level that could join it. Now, there is a problem with that, which
is ruining the American.
Well, it's not even just that, because I mean, for the Big 12, they're in. We've got to adapt or die at this point. Quite literally, they could go and grab those teams and join them. But here's the thing. This is all about TV rights. This is all about TV rights. And without Texas and Oklahoma, plain and simple, they could bring in Cincinnati. They could bring in Houston. They could bring in SMU. They could bring in all these teams. Are they going to convince ESPN or Fox or NBC or CBS or somebody to fork out the money to make it so that it's more viable for these teams to stay together? Because let's be honest about this. When ESPN signed a deal with the Big 12, a lot of it was based on the idea of getting Texas and Oklahoma, right? When Fox signs a deal with the Big 12, they want to get Texas and Oklahoma.
Right, because a Baylor, a TCU, a Tech, they all matter, but the brand awareness is just not the same. And you're being naive if you want to argue that fact.
This is facts. I'm telling you how TV executives think. I'm telling you how TV executives think, and I'm telling you how conference commissioners think.
Sweeps week, you're not putting on Baylor TCU.
You're not putting on as much as a game as much as we like it.
Yes.
It's different. So that's option two, is that they try to hold together. There's a calculated risk there, and almost certainly the money would be less there. Okay? Option three would be to get a little weird. And to get a little weird would mean, hey, why don't we, the remnants of the Big 12, call someone like the Pac-12 or call someone like the ACC and say, do you want to propose a merger? And I mean a full-on 20-team conference. The reason that I think the Pac-12 may be amenable to that, and why the Pac-12 is going to matter a lot in what's going on, is that of the Power 5 conferences, the Big 12 was always the most vulnerable. The Big 12 has long been the most most likely to implode.
Yes.
Most likely to implode. But next on that list is the Pac-12. Their TV deal stinks. They've just fired or gotten rid of their longtime commissioner and brought in another guy.
They've got the late games, too. I mean, just from a TV perspective, sometimes
that's part of it.
That's hard.
That's part of it. They have not done a good job selling it. They tried the Pac-12 network, and they can't get on any cable providers. It's terrible. And so they are vulnerable next. And so if the Big 12 implodes, then the next person up on the firing in front of the firing squad is the Pac-12. So if the Pac-12 wants to be proactive, they could go to the Big 12 and say, hey, why don't we propose a merger? That would be the biggest thing. I think those are probably, how I just listed it, I think those are probably in order of likelihood. I think the most likely thing is that the teams scatter. The next most likely thing is that they bring in other teams to shore up what's left of the Big 12. And the last would be some sort of major merger with like the Pac-12 or the ACC.
And then it goes to what, a Power 4 conference?
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Maybe who knows how it goes. So there's that. We've talked a lot about Texas. Obviously, they have kind of lit the stick of dynamite here. Them and Oklahoma have kind of lit the stick of dynamite on the Big 12. There's obviously 3 other teams in the Big 12 in the Big 12 in Texas that are now kind of left in a lurch.
Yep.
One of them is Texas Tech. Now, if you remember back years ago, Texas Tech was rumored to be connected to the Pac-12. This was in the last round of realignment. They were rumored to be connected to the Pac-12, but a large part of that, in my opinion, I don't know the inside conversations with this, but a large part of that was that Texas and Oklahoma were coming along with them, or at the very least Texas was coming along with them. Does the Pac-12 have interest in a standalone Texas Tech product? There's some value in the sense that you get into the Texas market, although I think that the value of markets are probably diminishing, but there's some value there.
Geographically, it makes the most sense, and style of play too, with a more high flying rather than run heavy.
Stylistically, you could say that they are a fit for the Pac-12. I think they may be, of the three teams, maybe in the best position to land on their feet. The next team that I think is in a position to land on their feet would be TCU.
Yes.
Now, they're an interesting case. Remember, they have not been in the Big 12 long. They were, whenever A&M and Missouri and Nebraska and Colorado bolted, they were added along with West Virginia to shore up the Big 12 to make it what it is right now and to hold it together.
Of the 10 teams.
Correct. TCU is a private school. TCU is a smaller school than all the teams that we've listed so far, but they have one big club in their bag, and that is they're in a major metro area. They're in DFW, and there's a good alumni base, and there's going to be some value, I think, to other conferences, maybe the Pac-12, someone like that. To come and come knocking on TCU's door. I think that they are probably second best to land on their feet.
Yes.
There's that. There's one more, and it's Baylor. Now, I'm not going to go into the whole history of Baylor being in the Big 12. You can read all about it, about the way that they got into the Big 12 when the Southwest Conference disbanded. If I'm Baylor, I'm worried. I'm real worried.
Where do you go?
Because they are a small-ish private school, not in a major metro area, and they don't bring anything from a realignment perspective, to be clear. I like our friends at Baylor. They don't bring anything from a realignment perspective that Tech or TCU don't bring.
They're in third place out of three there.
Out of three, in my opinion, I think they're in third place, and that's a problem. That's a problem because I think if you're Baylor, what you're trying to do is you are trying like hell to hold this thing together. You're trying like hell. Your best option is to hold the Big 12 together and bring in teams even at a lower TV deal.
Yeah, the Houston,
something like that. You bring those. You are trying like hell to do that. So what you're going to do is, now that the conference is kind of breaking up, or we think it is, at least there are parts of it that are breaking up, you have teams that are going to be acting in their own interest, right? It used to be we're all working together for the Big 12. Now, Tech is going to be like, if I can get if I can get a spot in the Pac-12, I'm just going.
Yep.
It's musical chairs at this point.
You can even throw it, and this isn't in our geographic region, but Oklahoma State, I feel like, is very much in the same similarity.
I think Oklahoma State's in trouble.
What do you do? Like Kansas and Kansas State, that's a package deal almost, in my opinion. Hoops also helps with that, but Baylor and Oklahoma State.
I think Kansas State. I think Kansas State's in trouble because for Kansas, like, for example,
they've got basketball.
They've got a little bit of basketball, and they've got, like, the big basketball brand. I know what you're probably saying. You're saying, wait, Baylor just won the men's national championship. And that is true. They are not the same brand.
But it's not the long-established brand.
Not the same brand. Yeah. I hate to say that, but it's true. And by the way, we're also talking, I mean, realistically, let's be real about what we're talking about. We're talking about football. Football is what drives conference realignments.
Absolutely.
So, look, it's going to be dicey. So here's what to watch next, okay? Here's what to watch next, and we'll get into the ramifications of what Texas, the SEC would look like, etc. We've got plenty of time for that because it's not happening this year. We got a whole off season next year. What to watch next is to watch what the Pac-12 does.
Yes,
I think theirs is the next move to make. Theirs is the next move to make, and see what happens there. If they start knocking on the door of Texas Tech, if they start knocking on the door of TCU, then you could really see some things happen quickly. Also, I would not be surprised if you start hearing rumblings about the Big 12 asking Houston and SMU and Tulsa and Memphis and some of those major AAC programs, Tulane, if they want to come aboard the Big 12 trade.
Because realistically, they got to start shooting their shot now.
Right. I'll also just say that I don't know if this is getting to 2025. I think that especially if you're gonna have all these teams that are breaking up, then they may just say, well, why are we even together then? And especially if there's another move where, for example, if Iowa State were to go to the Big Ten, and then you're left with 7, or something like that, I would wonder if then you would start negotiating some sort of deal where they break up after 2022 or 2023 and get out of this so that nobody has to pay and just agree to all walk away.
Do you know the answer to this? If there is one giant agreement of the conference is just going to dissipate at the end of the 2022 season or something like that, no one has to pay, do they?
At that point, who would you pay?
Everyone. So it's almost better at that point.
If the bank goes out of business, then you don't owe the bank.
Okay. I wanted to make
sure.
sure.
Why we drive the banks out of business.
Yeah, exactly. When you control the mail, you control the information.
That's exactly right. Anyway, I hope that's a 50,000-foot view of things. There's obviously people who know this a lot deeper and are getting into the weeds of they're sourced within these programs and stuff like that. I am not that guy. Shahan Jairaj is a lot closer to that guy.
Oh, yeah.
And so we should probably have him on at some point, talk about the ramifications. But it's happening, guys.
We can show you the table.
It's happening. And by the way, I know that one other thing about this is that and we talked about this last week with Shahan, that is the SEC going to let them in? All reports right now are that the vote would be something along the lines of 13-1. Yeah. That everyone with the exception of A&M is going to vote to extend membership because in the end, guys, it's about that dollar. It's about that money. And every SEC school would stand to gain more money by letting these two programs in.
That's why half of them are in the SEC to start off with.
Yeah. Right. So there you go. That's where we're at. Big 12's on fire, and we'll see what happens from here. Keep an eye on the Pac-12. Keep an eye on on if you start hearing rumblings out of Houston and SMU. That's where we're at. We are Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. TexasFootball.com is where you can find complete coverage of high school football, college football, recruiting all across the Lone Star State. Hope you'll consider becoming a Dave Campbell's Texas Football Insider at TexasFootball.com/subscribe. It's our subscription package. We had do you see this email from Adam? We hit like a milestone the other day.
We did. So
thank you. If you're a Dave Campbell's Texas Football Insider, thank you very much.
Shout out to you.
Shout out to you. We love you very much. If you're not, please consider becoming Dave Campbell's Texas Football Insider. Here's my pitch for today. If you like this show, this is that's a way to help us make it. Is like if you become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football Insider, it's not that expensive, but it kind of if any, you get the magazine, you get great online content, and I think that you show support for these programs and things like that. So if you like this, Republic of Football, Tep and Step, things like that, please consider becoming Dave Campbell's Texas Football Insider. TexasFootball.com/subscribe. Pickle. Last week we were in San Antonio for the THSE Coaching School and Convention, caught up with hundreds of coaches. One of them is the head coach of those Golden Bears from South Oak Cliff, Coach Jason Todd. Here's Matt Stepp's conversation with South Oak Cliff coach Jason Todd here on Texas Football Today.
Matt Stepp, Dave Campbell's Texas Football, back here at the Texas High School Coaches Association Convention, here at the head coach of the South Oak Cliff Golden Bears, Coach Jason Todd. Coach, welcome to coaching school.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. It's always a good joy to come down to coaching school. With COVID last year, we missed out on it, so it's a pleasure to get away from home one last trip before football season starts.
It's almost that time, isn't it?
Yes.
You can kind of feel it in the air, right? Everybody's kind of excited about the season, and
yes.
With the sense a little bit more normal this year, it seems like things are trending in the right direction, and hopefully we can keep it going in that right direction, right?
Yeah, that's true. You
got your pen and paper ready in case you need to draw some plays up out there in the lobby? If
No. I really don't play the last man with the pen game. I leave that for other people.
That works, though. That's true, though, right? The last man with the pen always wins, right?
Yeah, never the loser.
But, I mean, when you've been, I don't want to date you, but You've been around a little while.
Yes.
When you come to coach, what is your advice to your young coaches when they come to coaching school? What do you want them to get out of this experience?
Biggest thing I would say is just developing relationships with other guys, because you never know when you can cross paths, and you never know when somebody else may be able to help you, with knowledge with football, or it could just be some life things, so as long as you got relationships and understand people from different areas, it may help you with film trading one day, scouting a team that you may don't get film on. So, when you got people in different areas, it really expounds your, whole knowledge of the game.
You guys at South Oak Cliff have been very successful in recent years. You guys have done a great job, and I feel like a lot of times you and your coaching staff and sometimes inner city coaches in general haven't always gotten the credit that they deserve because you guys are fighting some, and you're not one to make excuses
yes.
or talk woe is me. You're not that kind of guy, but you guys fight some different battles than guys in more wealthier areas face for sure. So with that perception being out there that sometimes inner city schools win on talent alone and that they're not really schematically sound and that kind of thing. But I feel like you and your staff were recognized and got to speak at the DFW Coaches Clinic this year.
Yes.
And your staff has been recognized as a staff that does a great job. Do you feel like those perceptions are starting to change in a positive direction?
I think by some of the teams that have actually played us, and had to go against us, I think a lot of those coaches actually, sing high praises for some of the things we're doing. I think in some areas, I think we still need to improve, and that's led by me. So I'm the first person that needs to improve in some areas, and it filters on down to the staff and the kids. But, I think we are trending in the right direction, and a lot of times it is attributed to talent when we win. But like I tell people all the time, when Kyler Murray, was at Allen, he played – it was 5 pros on that team.
Yeah.
And nobody ever attributes their victories to talent. But when it's in the city, we always get our – big wins attributed because it's the kids. It's never anything that the coaches do.
I mean, we all know you got to have great players to win state championships, but there's a lot else that goes into it. You got to have a lot of luck. You got to be healthy, and coaches X's and O's can sometimes maybe not win you a ball game, but sometimes if your guys are in the wrong place or misaligned, it can lose you a ball game. Right?
In the situational aspects of football, and that's what a lot of people kind of sleep on at times. It's not the big picture. A lot of times it's those small situations where a kid's going to either execute or he's not going to execute that wins and loses games in those big games.
For you guys, your goals are more than just winning a district championship.
Yes,
you guys have and you're in a tough region. You got a lot of great teams and great programs. For you guys in the Golden Bears, I know there's a lot of expectations this year. We think highly of you guys. We think you guys have a chance to make a lot of noise this year.
Yes.
What needs to go right for your ball club in 2021 to have the kind of success you think you can have?
The first thing I think it needs to be togetherness throughout the whole program. Where everybody gets in the car and we all believe in driving toward one destination. That's the first thing. The next thing I think it comes down to our quarterback. We think we got a quarterback who last year didn't get to show all his capabilities with the COVID and missing spring ball and things like that. But we think we have one of the top quarterbacks in the state of Texas, and we really think that he's going to throw for probably about 3,000 to 4,000 yards this year.
When you talk about having that spring ball and having some 7-on-7 this year, how for his development and your team's development, how much further along are you guys at this point this year than you were a year ago?
I say since I've been at SOC offensively, I think we've never been at this point since Coach Emmett Jones left to go to Texas Tech. So I think offensively, I think we're going to be very high-powered, and I think that we're going to really be throwing that ball around this year. And I think we're going to have a lot of success that's going to catch a lot of people off guard.
And then, I'm assuming your guys, from a strength and speed standpoint, being able to get in the weight room and you guys being able to work with your kids.
Yes.
How big was that for you guys in the spring and summer to actually, get to use that new weight room that you guys have there at SOC and that new field?
Yes.
You guys got to get in there and work with your kiddos. How big was that?
That was very big because what you got to realize that we played a lot of sophomores last year. It's probably about 6 or 7 sophomores that started for us throughout the year last year. Those guys had never been through a spring, never been through off season. So, this was their first time actually going through those things as far as really being in the weight room all summer, all spring. And you can see their bodies changing, and you can see they're getting more physically stronger. And it's going to help them, later on when we're playing those teams that we need to beat to get down the road.
You've been at SOC. You've had a lot of success there recently. And I'm sure you've gotten calls from other schools about other jobs. And I know it's flattering, and you always take the call and listen when someone calls you. Why is SOC the right place for you? Why have you decided to – a lot of guys would try to move up into to a suburban job and those kind of things. What's so special about SOC, and why does it mean so much to you to stay there and try to win a state championship?
First of all, it's a Dallas school, number one. It's also a school my mother, uncles graduated from. My grandfather was principal there for 14 years. It was some things back in the 80s. My grandfather actually the one that fired Norman Jett, who was the most successful coach the South Oak Cliff has had. And I just, I wasn't back in those times, but I just want to correct those wrongs. And I want to get the school to the first state championship to represent Dallas. And, and that's what we're all striving for because it's just not me. I got to have guys that also, as a good assistant coaches, that are not trying to go run to the highest paying job also, that really take it personal to be successful in Dallas. And, when I got a guy like Coach Ward, Coach Spencer, Coach Ingram, guys that's been around me, for a time, and we're getting that experience and continuity from years of working together. But the biggest thing is I just want to right a wrong, that a lot of people felt may have been done back in the past. And I feel what better way to make that reunion than the person who fired grandson comes back and win. And
it'd be a cool story.
Yeah, and we can have his daughter who's still living. We can correct some wrongs.
There you go.
Yes.
Hypothetically, if you guys played, I know it's a long way away. If you guys played for a state championship at AT&T Stadium, how many people would show up for that game from alumni in the city of Dallas? I mean, how many people do you think would show up for that game?
I think it'll be a sellout.
You think so?
Yeah.
That'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It'd be a pretty cool thing to see.
Yeah.
This summer, I saw on Twitter you took a nice vacation.
Yeah.
You and the missus, and you went out and did a great vacation. What was it like on the all-inclusive resort? Is that something you can get down with more often?
Yeah, it's actually something I need to expand my horizons on. I've kind of been a caveman my whole, not going on trips, but it actually was good to go somewhere and relax.
I saw you at the palm trees. The palm trees do something for you, right?
Yeah, the palm trees
makes you feel nice, right?
Yeah, the breeze, nice scenery, so it was actually a good vacation where you can just kind of take your mind a little bit off of the season and football. And let the other coaches run the weight room and things like that, where you get some time to yourself.
How important is that for you and your coaches? Do you tell your coaches, hey, in the summer, don't take a vacation with your family, because you need to recharge that battery a little bit, right?
Yeah, I'm big on that, because it'll shorten your coaching career if you never recharge. So, I'm very big on making sure they get some personal time. Our biggest thing is just make sure we communicate so we always still have somebody here for the kids in the weight room.
There you go.
So we can keep it open.
Next vacation, I got Jamaica.
Okay, yeah.
I'm a Jamaica guy.
You told me the spot where I'm going to get some jerk chicken.
Yes, I got you. I got you. So, final question for you, Coach. We go to games at Kincaid Stadium, and I haven't been on campus since SOC in a while. So when you're over at SOC on campus,
yes.
where does Coach Todd go to grab a bite to eat? Before practice or before a game? What's your go-to spot around town?
The number one spot for us is actually in the Oak Cliff area, and it's right there on Lancaster. It's actually called Wing Daddies.
Okay.
They have some real good lemon honey pepper wings.
Okay.
And lemon pepper wings, which kind of got that honey on it also, and they actually serve a good pizza too.
So it's wings and pizza. Okay.
Yeah. So sometimes my favorite meal, sometimes I get a 10-piece wing meal, or sometimes I get the mini pizza combo where it comes with a small pizza and 5 wings.
There you go. That sounds good. Is that your favorite post game meal, or do you have to hit Whataburger for post game usually?
No, actually post game I really don't have a certain place. I'm too busy trying to watch some film or get home, so it's kind of late at night. So I'm just whatever's open at that time.
Is that your post when you after is it more after a loss or after a win, or it doesn't matter after the game? Or you popping the film on right away, or do you take try to get a good night's sleep and then relax?
I really try to watch it going to sleep, but whether win or lose, a lot of times after a loss I may slow down a little bit because just give me more time to just recharge, and then especially after playoff loss.
Final question for you. You guys, I've talked to Coach Ward a lot. You guys got your schedule filled. I know you were happy because you wanted to get that 10th game in. But you guys, you're playing Duncanville, in week 2. Obviously, we all know what Coach Samples and they've done at Duncanville. But for you guys to play that kind of competition before you get into district play, how important is that to play a team like Duncanville? Because I'm assuming you want your warts exposed. You want someone to show you what needs to be fixed heading into district, because like we always say, right, if you don't get exposed before the playoffs, if you get in a playoff game, there's no time to fix it, right?
Exactly, yeah, and we love that challenge. First of all, we and different teams present different challenges. And the challenge with Duncanville that we feel is they're going to test our will, because they got some big guys that are going to be physically strong,
in the trenches,
in the trenches. So it's not about winning every battle, but it's about fighting every battle, and it's about making sure the execution is better as we go along, even if you get beat. But can you consistently still take the right steps and do the right things, make the right reads? And then I feel our program defensively in the first half last year, I felt our program was on par with Duncanville going against the offense. We gave up a couple big plays. But I think offensively this year it's time for the offense to take that step forward to match the defense. And then we're just trying to get it to a 4-quarter game.
Coach, appreciate your time. Appreciate what you do for student athletes in the state of Texas, and good luck in 2020.
Hey, always an honor, man. And
thanks,
you keep
Coach.
doing what you do.
Hey, thanks for watching this clip here on YouTube. If you like this kind of stuff and you want more of it, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. You shut up.
Isn't he the worst?
You shut up. You shut your face.
And just to clarify, we're talking about Tepper, not
Yes.
Coach Jason Todd.
Yeah, not Jason Todd. I want to be clear. I love Coach Todd. I want to be clear. I'm talking about the the promo that comes on after our YouTube videos that has me saying, "Hey, become a Dave Campbell's Football Insider," stuff like that. That guy needs to shut up.
Clarify
Jason Todd can talk forever. He's allowed on our.
I'm trying to keep you from getting your butt handed to you there.
That's very smart. I appreciate that. That's your job here. We appreciate Coach Jason Todd from South Oak Cliff joining us. Let's go over to Ashley Pickle for America's second favorite segment. Final thoughts.
The final thought on that is, so there was one of our, we kind of talked about it earlier, but one of our many coaching school interviews that we have out. All of them are out now on YouTube.
Yes.
So it's youtube.com/Dave Campbell's TF. We do this all year, so if you will hit that subscribe button on there, that doesn't cost
that
you
like button.
anything. Yeah, mash it, as
Mash
Steph
that
would
subscribe
say.
button.
That one doesn't cost you anything. That's like a free look into the content that you can get at Dave Campbell's,
Yeah.
though. So go ahead and hit
That's a
that
lot.
subscribe button.
Did we ever get a final count on those interviews?
No, I will go back and do that because I was waiting to do that in the bits.
Okay.
So
that's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
Like, it's over 40.
It's 50. I think it's right around 50.
Jeez.
So that's
too
a
much.
lot of content for you. Go hit that subscribe button because then it alerts you too when all the new stuff comes out.
Right.
So
And we've got new content every day, guys. 'Cause
Literally.
that's what we are. We're content creators.
Yeah.
It's going to do it for us. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook. Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. I think with my elbows. I was watching the Olympics last night. They were doing like those gymnastics. It's men's gymnastics. And they were on like the high bar. Like,
Yeah.
I don't. There's definitely a word for it. That I don't know.
The beam or the
No, the
flipping
flippy
ones.
one,
Okay, yeah,
flippy
the
one.
flippy bars.
And like these guys are like turning their arms inside out basically, and I'm like, I couldn't do that.
Yeah, how do I never understand how their bodies work like that. Like, it's amazing.
I just don't understand how athletes work.
I don't move like that. I sit like a question mark. I realized that yesterday in Mank's post. I sit like this.
Anyway,
I don't do the flippy bars,
from
is
your
what I'm saying.
non-athletic friends at Dave Campbell's Texas Football, thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. Thanks again to Jason Todd of South Oak Cliff for being our guest. For Ashley Pickle, I'm Greg Tepper. Vince Young, please come get your Player of the Year trophy. We'll see you tomorrow. Texas Football Today.